Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachariya. Yamuna Tira Vanachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gora Premanandi, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Narayanam namaskritya Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudiraye Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 16, Text 4. Esha dharma vritam shreshto lokam dharmenu vartayan goptacha dharma situnam shastatat paripantinam. Esha dharma vritam shreshto lokam dharmenu vartayan goptacha dharma situnam shasta tat paripantinam. Esha dharma vritam shreshto lokam dharmenu vartayan goptacha dharma setunam shasta tat paripantinam. Here? 4. Dharmamritam Shreshto Lokam Dharmenu Vartayan Uptacha Dharma Setunam Shastatat Paripantinam Esha Dharma Britam Shreshto Lokam Dharmenu Vartayan Gopta Cha Dharma Setunam Shastatat Paripantinam Esha, this King Prithu, Dharmabritam, of person executing religious activities, Shreshta, the best, Lokam, the whole world, Dharme, in religious activities, Anuvartayan, engage in them properly, Gopta, the protector, Cha, also, Dharmasitunam, of the principles of religion, Shasta, the chastiser, Tat Paripantinam, of those who are against religious principles. Translation. This King Maharaj Prithu is the best amongst those who are following religious principles. As such, he will engage everyone in the pursuit of religious principles and give those principles all protection. He will also be a great chastiser of to the religious, irreligious, and atheistic. Purport. The duty of the king or the head of the government is described very nicely in this verse. It is the duty of the governmental head to see that people strictly follow a religious life. A king should also be strict in chastising the atheists. In other words, an atheistic or godless government should never be supported by a king or governmental chief. That is the test of good government. In the name of secular government, the king or governmental head remains neutral and allows people to engage in all sorts of religious activities. In such a state, people cannot be happy, despite all economic development. Hehowever, in this age of Kali, there are no pious kings. Instead, rogues and thieves are elected to heed the government. But how can the people be happy without religion and God consciousness? The rogues exact taxes from the citizens for their own sense enjoyment, and in the future the people will be so much harassed that according to Srimad Bhagavatam, they will flee from their homes and country and take shelter in the forest. However, in Kali Yuga, democratic government can be captured by Krishna-conscious people. If this can be done, the general populace can be made very happy. Wow. And apparently there is a chance. The last sentence Prabhupada said, however, in Kali Yuga, democratic government can be captured by Krishna-conscious people. If this can be done, the general populace can be made very happy. Okay, so apparently, we have a candidate there. I mean, why not? Who knows? Could be. I remember when Prabhupada was on this planet, one devotee wanted to be in politics, you know. So Prabhupada, they run for office, and Prabhupada agreed, and the devotee was doing campaign and everything. You know him as a lawyer, Balavanta. Anyway, so in his campaign, he was preaching very openly. If you elect me, I will try to stop illicit sex, gambling, intoxication, and meat eating. He didn't get many votes. He got only 700 votes. I mean, he was depressed. But Prabhupada tried to enliven him, saying, those 700 people who voted for you, they made a spiritual advancement. So, but after that, there was no more political, amongst devotees. But now, apparently, there's one lady devotee who's trying to do that. Or will be, it's amazing how sometimes there are fanatical devotees that, she's a devotee and still they attack her and criticize her, and it doesn't make sense. The others will be much worse, but they don't make no sense. They think that she's in favor of free choice, of abortion. That, of course, she doesn't agree with abortion. She's a devotee. But because of Democratic Party and things, she have to go along with the line, but doesn't mean she believes in that, of course. She knows the soul entered the body at the time of procreation. But the body don't understand these things, and they just thought, no, she's... So you prefer Trump, who was openly against abortion. Of course we are against abortion. It's killing a child in the womb. Of course we are. But we don't make campaigns, or we don't take part in campaigns against abortion. That's not our process. Our process is to preach Krishna consciousness. And if people become Krishna conscious, automatically they will reject all the sinful activities. But sometimes we see devotee being activist in against animal cruelty or this and that. It's nonsense. We are not after those things. Or vegan, like campaigning. We don't do these things. We just have to focus on Krishna consciousness, and naturally everything will be accomplished with that. So, very interesting. Prabhupada translate the word dharma as religious principles or religious activities, and but people misunderstand the word religion most of the time. So sometimes they ask me, is this a religion or a spiritual movement? And I tell them, we are a theistic philosophy. Theistic. We are godly. We believe in God. But it's not a religion like people understand what is religion. What people understand for religion is some kind of belief. Like the Christian or the Hindu or the Muslim belief. Krishna consciousness is not that kind of religion. I have to clarify to the people, Rather, it is the more universal laws of religion, which means 4 principles that can be applied to any religion. And those are truthfulness, cleanliness, austerities, and compassion. These are the 4 religious principles. So this can be applied to any religion of any denomination. So the head of the state doesn't have to favor any religion in particular, necessarily, or just to be, aloof, allow anything and everything. No. The head of the government should see that people are following these four religious principles. Doesn't matter what they call themselves, Christian or Hindu or Muslim or whatever. They have to see that people are being, of course, if you're Christian, then you should follow the Ten Commandments. Of course, not the way they interpret them, that you should not kill means only killing human beings. Well, has a broader spectrum. And that means that the government should see that those who call themselves Christians should be vegetarian. That's simple. No? And even if there are some people who are going to eat meat, they may allow it under certain restrictions. Like, for example, there's sometimes government will allow, selling liquor, but doesn't mean they want people to drink liquor, where most of the politicians are alcoholic. But I mean to say, there is some to restrict these things. You can't prohibit now in Kali Yuga. You can't just stop it altogether. Even in the Vedic times, there were people eating meat. I mean, even Kshatriyas were hunting to eat meat, and was allowed for them. So I mean to say, we have to have a broader idea of what will be a government, Krishna conscious government nowadays. They have to allow certain things under certain restrictions. No? For example, Prabhupada said prostitution is a necessary element. Because some lusty men who are not satisfied in their marriage, they want to. So there is a section society for that. But nowadays, Prabhupada criticized modern society. They want to make all women prostitutes. And what the Prabhupada said, it's a trick by men to made up this idea of women liberation so they can have free prostitutes. Prabhupada criticized very heavy this thing. And women are so foolish, they go along with it as something great, fine, no? Wonderful. Anyway, so we see that. And although we preach that, I preach to many ladies who come to approaching the movement, they're not married. I told them, look, some of them are divorced with children. So generally, men will look for a divorced woman just for sex. Be careful. Take care of yourself. Unless there is a serious commitment, don't go for it. But foolishly, they just, because Prabhupada said women need protection. Because they're innocent and they're easily seduced. That's a fact. So it happens so, one of those ladies I'm preaching to, she got entangled in one relationship and get pregnant, and the man just left. No? And she's devotee. She's a devotee. She's not initiated, but she's devotee. So I could understand that nowadays women are misled by men, factly speaking. They are like children. It means they need protection. So it is the man's fault, It is the man's fault mainly that the moral situation in society is loosened, So that's why we need to preach very strongly about these principles, to our congregation, so you understand for their own good, to protect themselves, Like here, one girl was coming, was very much interested in Krishna consciousness, and she was chanting and everything. And suddenly a boy came up and just, took her away from Krishna consciousness. Of course, she has her free will too, but I mean to say, that's why in Vedic times, this was very much stressed that women should be protected, should not be given full freedom to mix with men. Of course, women hear that now, they say, whoa, what? Are you want to live in all the ages or something, they can't understand it. It's difficult for them because it became a norm, became a norm in society to act this way, freely mixing and illicit sex and anti-conceptives and abortion, all these things. It's a madhouse, actually. It's a complete chaos society nowadays. How is it going on? I mean, here, we go every morning to morning walk, I see so many people homeless, and men and women, both. And what they are into? Drugs, of course, alcohol. Because they're suffering. They want to mitigate their suffering with intoxication. But they are more miserable than before, so. And what the government is doing about it? Nothing. Not much, really. For example, some years ago here in America, the public schools, they were having a problem that many teenagers, girls, became pregnant and they still wanted to continue their studies, so they would come with their baby to schools because they didn't have anybody to take care of the kid. So they have to put a kindergarten for the kids. And that means more expenses, more, So they were looking for a way to cut off the expenses, So they came up with a plan that they will put something in the girl's arm that will make her infertile for 5 years. And any age, from 12 up, and they don't have to ask permission from their parent to do it. They could do it secretly if they wanted to. So imagine, they don't care about morality or religious or protection of the woman. No, they just care about money, less expenses. Doesn't matter if they have all the sex they want with one man or another, because if they know they're not going to get pregnant, so why control the senses? Understand? So there's complete chaos nowadays. And Prabhupada explains that nowadays the government had remain neutral and allow all people to engage in all kinds of religious activities in the name of secularism. But that's completely wrong. You don't have to favor any particular religion, but you have to see that, okay, you are religious, you have to follow what you're saying. For example, I'll tell you an example. Recently in Mexico, there was a big religious scandal. One big religious leader, he had his own movement. He created his own movement, Christian-based, of course, and it's called the Light of the World. No, so this guy, they rented, palatial cultural building, governmental building, supposedly for some cultural activity, but wasn't true. They use it to celebrate his birthday, this leader's birthday. And that was against their rules, can't be used for religious purposes. So it was a big scandal because he gave a lot of money, to get that. And now here in California, he is in jail. The same man. They caught him here. There are like 22 complaints about him. From women, from money embellishment, from bribes, from related to drug trafficking, all kinds of things. The man is a complete, is what he said, a complete gangster, and he's a supposedly religious man. So what he preaches that he's a prophet. He's an incarnation of an archangel. Yeah. He's a prophet. He's an incarnation of some archangel. And therefore, since he's a prophet, and in the Bible it said the prophet may have many wives, so he can have all the women he wants. And his followers offer him their daughter or their sister, And it's okay because he's a prophet. And his son is another angel, of course, a minor prophet too. And he also take advantage of all the girls and all the money. And there are many politicians, they back them up because they get girls also from them. And money, of course, they bribe them and all these things. So they don't, the government here in California, they don't want him free. So the bail is $50 million. And recently I was in Monterrey, Mexico. I had a meeting with the members of the government who are in charge of the religions, you know. So they told me his followers already collected the $50 million. But they are waiting to see if something happens so they don't have to give the 50 million. But if they have to give it, they will do it. Imagine, that's a bad word. A crazy word. And the things are going on, are allowed everywhere. It's crazy. So, corruption at every level, religious, political, social. I mean, in Mexico, there is one Buddhist lady who's becoming devotee, and she told me that so much corruption in the Buddhism also. And in England, there was a big religious Buddhist leader. He had millions of properties, and so many thousand followers. And he was abusing his male disciples. And the scandal came out in the newspaper and everything because one of them committed suicide in London. A very famous Buddhist group, and the man recently died, the corrupt, guy, and all the Buddhists came and, everything peace and love, Nobody came out to speak, this is not moral or this is not proper. Nobody, because it is many, very valuable millions of dollars property are involved. So they want to keep like, she told me she just got completely, burned up with these people. And that's why she wants to become devotee. Because she saw the movie Hare Krishna. And she wrote a nice article about the movie, came out in the newspapers and everything, in our ISKCON publications too. It's a very nice article, and she said, what I admired most of Prabhupada, that he was faithful to his principle all his life up to the end. He's a real bona fide spiritual master. And and Prabhupada said we have to keep the purity in our movement, and we have been through many difficulties too, also with some of our leaders too, through the years, and we have lost some, definitely we have lost some, what you said, credibility in society, because we also failed in many ways in that sense. But since there are sincere devotees in our movement, and some very, very sincere, the movement will go on, because this is the movement of Lord Chaitanya, and nobody can stop it. So Prabhupada very intelligently, he didn't leave only one leader, like happened in Gaudiya Math, only one leader, and if something happened with him, everything collapses. But Prabhupada created a society with many leaders, so if somebody failed, the others will continue. That was more clever way to organize the movement, would not be stopped by the failure of some of the leaders. Anyway, I'm stopping here. Any comments, questions? All right. Yes.
There's a saying, failure. Prabhupada used it actually one time. He used it in Perfection Yoga.
Yeah, failure is the pillar of success.
Comment on that.
Sure. I mean to say, if somebody is sincere devotee, but because of the powerful material energy have some, you call difficulty in life, and he may have failed at a certain point in following the principle, but because he is sincere, he tries harder, to overcome his weaknesses and to advance more. So in that sense, failure becomes what do you call? The pillar of success. In that sense, yes, it's correct. Any comment, Prabhu Dravida?
Well, in the sense that when you look at the broader perspective, that's the central principle of Krishna economy. And Krishna says, "Neha brikamanashosti."
Yes.
Even your failure in this one life,
Yes.
you still have some assets for the next life, and you go on.
Of course.
But it only works in in spiritual life, because in material things, no matter how much you succeed, you fail because you leave it all and it's gone. And especially if you try to, accomplish something and you fail, then it's a whole failure. Like you try to build a bridge,
Yeah.
but you don't complete it. Well, the whole thing is a waste.
Of course.
So in essence, that's a really central principle of ours.
But in spiritual life, I mean, there is hope that next life you'll continue your progress. But even if somebody comes back to Krishna consciousness after having failed, Prabhupada said that should be taken as an accidental fall down.
Yeah, I mean, even in this one life.
Huh?
Even in this one life.
Even in one life, he comes back to Krishna consciousness, he can still achieve success after having failed at certain point. It is possible. Prabhupada, once a devotee asked Prabhupada, how we know what is accidental fall down? And Prabhupada said, if the person comes back to Krishna consciousness, that was accidental fall down. Doesn't matter how long was there,
Quite a liberal standard.
Yeah.
It indicates how open-hearted we have to be.
Yes.
Because we tend to be, hey, 30 years ago you did this, you're out, finished,
Yeah. It's true. We have to be more kind, merciful,
You realize how rare it is for devotees.
Yeah, how rare it is for somebody to be Krishna, become Krishna. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari.